All right, we're back on another episode of Salient Points. This is a special episode, Salient Points number 102 for February 22nd. I should have updated the rundown over here. But look, scheduling conflicts means you guys get the episode a little bit later, but you'll get both of the Last of Us recaps and everything on the same day. I'm going to work hard, Dalan. I'm going to work hard to get up there. And we all may or may not be working right now at this moment in time. So, you don't need to call in and let anybody know. Right, we'll be all right. But then I did want to mention really quick. We don't have any comments on the YouTube. Remember, if you go to YouTube, like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you leave a comment, there's more than likely you're gonna get on the show. Right? I didn't throw a poll out there either. We were kind of busy the last week, man. I had a couple days off, but it was still kind of busy. Do you feel like you're busier when you have more days off?
Yes, because you're always trying to figure out what you need to do during that time.
Exactly, like you're living your life a little.
It's like, all right, and you're like, I have days off. Man, I could do that shit. What was it?
I have to do all this other stuff. Well, anyways, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan?
The master of I don't fucking know today, man.
It's not even Monday, Dalan. I mean, it's sort of Monday because you're back at work.
Hey, man, it has been a hell of a week. Okay. All right.
Well, hey, look, Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me. Sir. What's up?
You're the master of toothpaste and toothbrushes. All right.
Okay, all right, master of toothpaste and toothbrushes. Sure, I'll take that. We don't have Luis Mendez. Of course,
clean your teeth.
We haven't figured out. Luis Mendez will be on. I hope at some moment in time. Deo is globetrotting around the world. I know he put up on Twitter where he's at now. People know he's in Japan, so he'll be back soon enough, and we'll talk. We'll be glad to have him back. But look, Dalan, me and you over the weekend, we did share on an adventure, I suppose. We did go to Super Nintendo World or / Super Mario World. You hear everyone walking around calling it Super Mario World, and even I was calling it Super Mario World because it's mostly Mario, man.
It's nothing but Mario.
Yeah, you can't tell it just because you spread like little Pikmins around. 2 of them, by the way, which got confirmed by one of the quote unquote cast members. There's only 2 Pikmin hanging around. So if you find the 2 Pikmin, you found them all. So we were over there down at Universal Studios Hollywood. I did the honors or the dishonor, I guess, of waking up really early because I was like, you know what? We don't know if we're going to get into that little tiny land. Let's go in. You got to make a reservation to get into the land, not necessarily to any of the rides or anything like that.
They do not explain that shit clearly enough at all.
Well, I mean, if you've been they kind of do the thing where like Disneyland kind of does it. But Disneyland actually runs out, I feel. These guys are like, we had like different phones. So if you have different phones, like if you go with different family members, just get each one of them an app and get yourself random reservation times, and you should be all right because we got a couple for you, right, Dylan? I think you had one later in the day that you had to leave early for kind of you had some personal things going on,
personal
right?
reasons, yeah.
But so you had to leave early, so you wouldn't have made it at your reservation when you went in at what, like 9 or. What time did you get there?
No,
9 a.m. or something?
We got there at 9 a.m. and the earliest reservation was 6:55 p.m.
Yeah. So if you get there,
you were gonna miss. We were not gonna see Nintendo World or Mario World in the daylight at all.
Which is kind of cool seeing it. Now that you mention it, a lot of the pictures that you see like online and the premiere with Miyamoto and all that stuff during the day. It's kind of cool seeing it during the night. Maybe when I kind of promote this podcast, this episode, I'll put the nighttime pictures that I have, right? Because I don't think you see those
I don't see
really
those
anywhere.
So you don't see nothing glow.
Oh, and I guess you didn't see it during the night, or did you? Before you left?
No,
were you able to?
Okay. I left before night fell.
It's a little different vibe, and it's like a video. It's a video game world in the daytime. During the nighttime, it's like okay, you hit the when you hit those Sonic levels, where it's the casino levels, or where it's like okay, Mario. But anyways, then we'll kind of get right into it, man. Kind of our. Did you have high expectations of it, like before you kind of checked it out or anything, or was it like?
Hey man, in reality, I wasn't too sure what to expect because when it comes to me and amusement parks at all, they can be very lackluster very quickly. But there's something about Mario World that they give you all these little interactive things to do that you consistently have something to do all day.
Yeah.
You actually have a purpose for going to each place.
Yeah, and it's funny what they did with like such a small place, right? As soon as you enter, you're like, this is what the inside of a tunnel looks like, right? Like when you're going into the world. So already going into the world is a different vibe than going anywhere in the park, right? Because everywhere in the park is just kind of an open space, open entrance. But in the tunnel, it's like you're funneling through it. It's a big enough space. The first thing you see, of course, is like that little map. If you guys remember Super Mario 64, where you look up, it's like, if I look up, can I go into the land where I'm flying, right? Where I got the flying cap on. So that's where you first enter. But other than that, it's kind of an amazing thing that they did in the small enough place. But of course, the biggest attraction is Mario Kart.
Hey, hold on. I have to take a step back on you because after you walk through the pipes, the first thing I even noticed, and the first thing for anybody who's played enough Mario games would notice that you're in Peach's castle. And I saw the paintings on both of the walls. They were actually doing the movement thing, like Mario just jumped into one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the biggest one, right? It's when Mario first went into 3D, right? So it's kind of the most impactful moment, and the nostalgia factor is high, man. 1996, Dalan, is when this thing Mario first came out of that pipe, talking about woohoo, and you're in fully 3D 360 directions and everything. It was kind of nice. You know, before you realize that analog stick is gonna have some like white gunk in it and you'd have to clean it out all the time. You remember, don't be shaking your head.
Terrible.
It sounds, look, it's very phrasing, but you know what I'm talking about. That analog stick
it sucked when your analog stick had a dead zone. Like you could do like almost a 360 motion. You get like a 350 motion because that one dead spot was there.
But so the whole little world is a small area, right? But there's little different you get coins, you get my wife was really upset. She was like these are keys. I was like, well, it's a key inside of a coin.
The coin key coin.
Yeah, so you were getting keys around the area. We didn't know because we were like I said, if you want to get there super early, I think we got there like 7:45, and as soon as you're parked, you can kind of already sign up for your registration for your getting into a virtual queue. So we got there 7:45, and we were there like 8:15 was the first, like you can get in there at 8:15. So if you guys get in there early enough, you see all that. And going into Mario Kart was only about a 25 minute wait if you're there at the very beginning. And as soon as I entered, man, I was like, I want to live to here. I mean, it opens up to like basically Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Like, this thing is incredible. Although the more you look at it, the more you're like, wait, they painted a lot of preschools in these pastel colors. And with time, there's writing and scribbling all over the wall. So I hope people are respectful and they keep it super extra beautiful. But what did you think?
They broke the clocks. It's only been like 3 days.
But let's go to the big attraction first, Dalan, like the Mario Kart one, which is the one most fully realized, right? What did you think, man, when you went through it? What was the biggest things?
That was the one that, as you're going through it, just waiting in line, you're actually taking through so many of Mario memories just by walking through it. Yes, Mario Kart is the big staple there, but they show you the creation of enemies. They have little blueprints flying around. They got a bunch of books with funky names on them. You see Bowser's painting at the end of the hallway. Even just the aesthetics of the way that they built their lamps. You're walking through a castle that takes you through multiple lands in such a short period of time. I think two of the biggest things as you're walking through it is very noticeable, even probably if you watch a YouTube video or look at a picture. The Mario Kart land has a big metal Bowser that you have to walk into his mouth, and that's just awesome to look at, even from up close. And then as soon as you get in there, you got the stone statue of Bowser in this awesome pose, and him roaring and stuff like that. So just walking, even for people that don't play Mario, like my wife, Nicole, she went with me, and she was actually really excited to just be in that place. She, out of the couple of times that we've been to Universal, Mario Land was probably the most fun for her.
Yeah. So what did you think of the actual racing itself? It's basically a dark ride, right? A dark ride similar to like, similar to like the Transformers ride. Or Universal is nothing but sort of dark rides, as they call them, right? Dude. So this is a continuation of that. But with AR goggles, right?
I can't even call it a dark ride. It is a distracting ride. Okay. Because while you're doing the AR goggles, there's all this other stuff that they had built around it, but you're so busy trying to get the coins that you don't notice the level itself. It's like if you're playing the game, you're playing the game. That's great. But if you're not playing the game, you see all these awesome things that they've built for all the Mario Kart lands that you go through. They actually built a little miniature
nice
rainbow
sets,
world. They built a miniature Cloud City. I don't remember the name of it. It was the one where you get to bounce on the drum and you're driving across clouds. But it's the fact that they put all these things in there, but you barely see them if you're doing the actual AR.
That's actually one of the things that kind of, and I'm going to talk about, like, there's a final boss. We'll talk about that and some of the gamification. You have to buy a $40 watch to play some other stuff. As far as Mario Kart, that's the quote-unquote freest, that if you pay for a price of admission to Universal, that's kind of the one you'll have the funnest thing with. But if you want to have more fun in the land, you'll need to buy a watch. But that's one of the tricky things that to me is kind of like Nintendo, they're game makers. You would think like the AR tech would be like better. I don't know. It's not that it's bad, but you kind of have a very specific zone you have to look in, and it does tie into the background, but it's like it's distracting. It's like you were saying, like, I want to see the background. So actually what I did later on that day, I was like, you know what, let me do it with AR. AR is cool, whatever. You aim and you click the Mario Kart wheel to kind of shoot and stuff like that. And it's fun enough, and it works well enough. But I was like, I remember telling you, I was like, Dylan, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it with no AR. And then I did it. It lasted, instead of having a 20-minute wait like in the beginning of the day, it was a 2-hour wait. So that was incredible. That was fun. But I've seen it, Dylan. It's like it's got to be a combination of both. Not that it's like makes it better.
I'm not saying it's beautiful.
Yeah, but
they did put some work into it.
Yeah, no, and the sets are incredible. From what I saw, the sets without the distracting AR glasses, right, that you're playing the game, the sets are really beautiful. But there's instances where it's plain. You're literally looking at a plain back on like blankness, especially because there's like a final boss sort of towards the end, Bowser, right? Everyone's attacking him with shells. If you don't have your air guns, you're looking at nothing. You're looking at a blank like slate or whatever. About the most amazing thing though is when you get to the end, right? When you get to Rainbow Road, you put those AR glasses in, man, because it looks nice without them. But put those AR glasses in. It's really one of those things, if you guys are considering to be foolish enough like me and like let me go again just to see the set pieces, it's like you need the AR. It really is one of those things where like, yes, the sets are beautiful and hopefully you get to see those, but if you take the AR glasses off, it's kind of like it's kind of the whole point, unfortunately, right? But I thought it was a decent enough ride, right, Dylan? What did you think? Did you think it was decent?
Which one? The
Mario Kart.
The Mario Kart, right?
Yeah.
It was actually a decent enough ride. It was easy for people to really understand. I like the fact that it was. I'm not gonna say it's heavy people friendly, but they actually took into consideration that larger people are gonna be in these seats.
So because there was
obviously there's
online.
a weight that you can hit before they say no.
Yeah, because there was like articles online. I don't know. You use the internet. You're not on the internet, Dalen. So I understand that. But there's articles about heavy people not being able to fit in the seats, and from what we understand, that's possible. But we go to the other thing, Dale, the gamification. If you didn't get the watch, you have trouble working on the real world challenges that they have outside of the Nintendo world, right? They're very simple.
Don't get to.
They're very simple. Yeah, you don't even get to do them, which is like the 80% of the land besides Mario Kart, the challenge, right? Which is quote unquote free with price of admission, right? But the idea is that you go to 4 different little mini games. Each one has a line, of course. 4 different little mini games that you kind of put your watch, your Mario watch, your Princess watch, whatever you want, whichever one you picked up. And
Toadstool.
A Toadstool, there you go. You pick up, you kind of line that up, and they're very simple challenges. Some is like, don't wake up the piranha plant, which is kind of cool. We strategized the hell out of that. We were like, Dalen, you get 3, I get 3. Carissa, my daughter, Lily, was like, you guys get 3 and 3. And we were able to just kind of beat that. We strategized it very easily enough. There's another one where you kind of pull on a wheel to let the Goomba, I guess, not attack you, kind of swing the Goomba back.
On the wheel. I thought there was one where you crank it.
You crank a wheel. You crank a wheel.
Oh, okay.
I think it's semantics, Dalen, but okay, I'll take it. But you crank
Pulling
a
and
wheel.
crank are way different.
Well, it depends on what direction, because you could do either direction, I think. So it's very simple mini games. At each one, you better get the Mario watch or whatever, or the Toad or the Princess or whatever it is. But then you get to once you get 3 of those coins, 3 of those key coins, three of those keys, you can enter a boss level, which is kind of cool. But then you enter it, Dalan. The settings is pretty cool. It's nice in there, right? There's little Goombas and stuff like that. And actually, you know that first boss you hit in Super Mario World? You get that big old like shell or whatever that's kind of flying around or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It is. You see that. You just see that hanging around, and then you get to it. And it's like an open area, an open stage where it's kind of like lava in there, right? And you see the little Koopa Jr. or Bowser Jr.
Like the one. No, it's one of the. Are you sure it's Bowser not one Jr. of the Castle Koopas? Because I know that in the original ones, you had that platform that would tilt, and there would be lava below you. You're trying not to get that thing to tilt too much.
It's Bowser Jr. And you know what it is, Dalan? It's fucking Kinect, man. You're playing Kinect. You're basically like bouncing things off, right? Bouncing balloons and all kinds of stuff and bombs into the boss, but it's not super accurate. And then you have moments every so often where you get the question mark blocks and you jump up and hit them and you get a fire. You know, you either get fire or you get some other moves. I think that's about the only one. Maybe you become bigger or smaller or something like that.
I'm going to say this. Don't worry about accuracy when it comes to Super Mario World. Because there is a big margin of error that they give you.
There is, and eventually you make it, but as a gamer, right, and as coming from Nintendo, right, you're kind of hoping for more accuracy. Like, you guys are just using Kinect, and the Kinect's behind me. Like, the Kinect, they put it behind your body, and that's how they run it. And we know it because we've used Kinect before. But honestly, look, get the keys, go try it out, but just don't expect super accurate, like, Kinect motions. If you play Kinect, you're gonna understand what that is. The other thing is, Dalan, maybe you get to enjoy it next time, but there's a Toadstool Cafe. You got to make a reservation for that as well, all right?
You got to make a reservation to reserve a reservation.
And hopefully, this is why probably you need to, like, gamify it a little bit, right? Have two people make different reservations. Because you got to go into the place that you need a reservation to make a reservation a couple hours later for Toadstool Cafe, which... But
the reservation gives you once again, it gives you a cushion. It gives you a cushion like an hour.
No. That to enter the land, it gives you about an hour, right? Toadstool Cafe gives you 15 minutes. It gives you a 15-minute, and they're on the dot, right? It's a 15-minute.
You better be there.
Yeah, you better be there when it happens, or you're gonna miss it. But we got a chance to go in there. The food was all right, man. It's this regular kind of burger and chicken sandwich, and I got the tiramisu. Yes,
I understand the experience itself though was a little bit different.
It's you're in a cafe. I guess it's nice little chairs, and you see the mushrooms and all that. But there was a moment we're trying to enjoy our meal. Like I said, the food's all right. It's just presentation's kind of interesting, right? They got little square pieces of cheese for your spaghetti, which is kind of interesting. The tiramisu is made out of a question block, so I'm a sucker for tiramisu, and it was all right. It was pretty delicious. But yes, there are apparently like public events. If you guys have you played Destiny, there's like little public events where the cafe gets darkened, right? All the lights kind of dim a little bit, and you see the toads kind of running around like in danger, and you're like, what the hell's happening? Who's gonna save them? It's not interactive. It's not interactive, just the lights dim. It's kind of scary. There's a little bit of thunder. And then you see Luigi walking towards the screen, and then the sky's clear randomly. And I'm like, okay, what happened? We were in danger, but now we're not. But it is an experience. Toadstool Cafe is an experience. Next time, just everything is a reservation. Make sure you get your reservation. Multiple reservations.
Everything is a reservation. Get there early. Reserve ASAP, even if you're not gonna go right away.
But it's pretty cool. Dalan, anything I didn't mention, kind of like that you're like, oh, you want to make sure to mention? I guess it's an impressive little land, right? With its own little caveats and little drawbacks, right?
Well, the really big things about actually enjoying your time there is buy at least one watch. You don't need a watch for everybody, but buy at least one watch. You can get a watch for everybody so everybody can do their thing, but one watch. Secondly, get the app for Universal Studio before you go. Because I had the problem of not doing it because I don't like getting apps for everything. But if you're going to go to Universal at this point, have the app so you can make your reservations ASAP. And on top of that, having the app, they have the nice little section just for Super Mario World. Take a look at all the stickers. It really tells you all the stuff that you can do while you're there.
Which before we left, we kind of looked up. All right, what do we need? I was like, all right, we need to find Luigi. We need to find this. We need to find that. There's a whole.
But you didn't know you didn't know about the keys and the boss until way later in the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's one of the things. Right when you get there, if you see some short lines for the different keys, the little mini games, go ahead and grab them right away because those lines can get kind of long. I know for one of the keys, my daughter was like, she went up to it and we did the puzzle. We did the little match. Well, you're not matching. You're kind of turning the whole screen blue, turning it red, whatever color.
It's block flipping,
But yes, exactly. Block flipping, but you guys have to make a decision what color you want because I think there's like 3 colors. Well, we did that. We did it quick enough. So quick that I was like, well, can we get another level? You know, I was asking, and he was like, no, that's it, man. Get your my daughter
can't get out.
Yeah, my daughter did not. She was like, I don't need to get this. And then later on, we find out, I was like, well, you kind of did need that key. So there's 3 out of 4 keys. Get 3 keys and make sure you kind of go ahead and do that. But it is very gamified, right? It's very like $40. You're gonna feel like you're missing out if you don't have like the watch. I'm sure you can kind of get one and pass it back to the next person in line or something like that. But
hey, really also know that some people can be rude there. I'm going to actually pull out this story because it happened while we were in line for one of those keys, because there are the blocks that are all throughout the land that you can actually use your watch to interact with and get coins, because you guys are loving getting your coins. But I was standing in line and I was right in front of this block and I was mid hitting this block and this kid came out of nowhere from behind the wall and he just hit my hand and he just started going at the block. I was like, boy.
yeah, they're everywhere. So yes, all the little blocks that you see online, they're everywhere, and they're at a short enough height that if you're a regular size human, you're gonna hit other people's hands not even knowing about, because you're just so focused. You know, and there's like a little rubber area, right? That you're kind of it works on.
You gotta aim for a
kind of like
area.
what are these things called? There's up here. There's one right here, Dalan. The Metopia. What are these guys called?
Oh, the amiibo.
Yeah, it's kind of like amiibo, where even you were like, well, you don't have to hit the watch. Everyone hits the watch against the thing. You have to be just in proximity of the thing, right? But these blocks are everywhere, and that is short enough height that you're gonna hit someone. So just be careful out there when you guys are, because you want to hit all of them. They're all
respectful of people.
Yeah, be respectful of people, but they are everywhere. They are everywhere, and you want to hit all of them. And you even have the POW ones, right? That'll explode, imaginarily explode everywhere. But it was a decent enough experience, right? I think I can wait a couple years before I head back. Maybe when they had another ride or something like that.
Hey, all your data will be saved. Be sure that if you did not, if you don't have the app, that you go to their stupid little tower thing to actually save your progress. But if you have your phone, you can just save your progress at all times. So it don't matter.
Yeah, so it's kind of, that's part of the gamification too, right? It's the watches that you can go back with. If you have the watch one time, you can go back with it. But then you have to scan it to your app so you can track your progress and all that. So they definitely are like, come back, grab everything else you missed. And there's a whole bunch of stamps that you missed. I think out of 130, we got like 40 when we were there. So there's a whole
last I saw you, you were at 22.
Yeah, and some are ridiculous, of course, because they're like, ride Mario Kart 5 times. Like, even if you wanted to, you couldn't in a day, right? Or that's all you would do, just based on.
Hey, you get a sticker just for riding it twice.
yeah, exactly. All right, so look, some outlets did get early previews to it. They got to interview Shigeru Miyamoto. I think they did a preview like a week ago, or actually even like a month ago. People that had like season passes were actually able to kind of preview the park. But one of the things that IGN asked Miyamoto was like, hey, why do you guys not announce a Mario game during this time that you launch? And Miyamoto said, we're always working on Mario, so when we get to a time where we can share information, we'll certainly do so. And it's kind of one of those things. Of course, they're working on a new Mario, man. It's just, but I like IGN.
Hey,
I like IGN that answer like, dude, where's the new announcement, right?
In this case, they don't need to. Everybody's waiting on the Mario movie to come out in April.
There you go. And they got, I think he mentioned Singapore. He mentioned like other places where Super Nintendo World. You did say Super Mario a little earlier, but hey, what else is it supposed to be called, man?
No, I know what it is. It is Super Nintendo World.
Super Nintendo
That is
World.
The official name for it.
So the other thing is, real quick, Dan, I kind of like this. I kind of like hearing about this. The Mario movie is going to be 92 minutes long. This is according to the Irish Film Classification Office. Don't you like where we get some of these sources sometimes? 92 minutes. Man. That's a brisk movie, dude. I like that. That's a good time. I feel like that's a good little time.
An hour and a half for Illumination.
Yeah.
Hey, Illumination knows how to make a film, so I'm definitely ready for it. Personally, I was not happy the direction that they ended up taking Princess Peach, but at the same time, I understand the reason that they made the changes. I mean, we got to progress somewhere.
Yeah, but it's an adaptation, man. We'll find out, right? We'll see. It's like that's a dumb story. Why they empowered her just to not empower her? So we'll find out. We'll ultimately find out. I'm always about whatever story they're trying to tell.
I'm going to say two things in this regard as we're talking about all this Mario stuff. Yeah. First off, Super Nintendo World, they need to make a Samus Land or a Samus Ride or something along those lines.
Hey, that's what I'm going back. That's what I'm going back. They got to give something substantial, though, man. Don't just be like putting little Samus up here. Find the Samuses.
Hey, they have all kinds of IPs. You've played Super Smash Brothers. They got Donkey Kong under their belt. They've got Samus. Obviously, they got Kid Icarus.
But
they got all kinds of stuff.
They're gonna have to find the space for that, man. Because some of it, I think, is just limited in space. Right, but you know what they'll do? What I just thought about, they just gotta blast into the wall like Richie Rich. Remember they had the little laser and bust.
They just gotta drill into the wall with a laser and just make it just a little bit bigger.
And we'll have
about 1,000 acres.
And we'll have 10 more escalators to go down at that point to get to that Mario Land.
They're already building up on the place. All they gotta do is build into the ground. That's it.
So 92 minutes for the Mario movie. Go
to Mario World.
So the next thing we have on here, Dalan, real quick, and this might be the reason Luis isn't on this week. We don't know, because we're going to talk Nvidia, Dalan, just for a little bit. But Nvidia gives their full support for the Microsoft ActiBlizzy. I put ActiBlizzy, by the way, on the rundown, so I always get mixed up.
Activision-Blizzard.
Activision-Blizzard deal. Microsoft is apparently saying that they're going to bring games to Nvidia's GeForce Now service, and that, quote, resolves Nvidia's concerns, end quote, about the merger. Quote, Nvidia therefore is offering its full support for regulatory approval of the acquisition, end quote. I do appreciate, and we're going to talk about one right now in a little bit, but I do appreciate how Microsoft's like, we're going to get a team member here, we're going to get this guy here. Can you guys help us? Can you please help us buy this company? But what do you think, Dalan? Is it a big deal that Nvidia specifically is kind of, putting their full force behind it, or as far as the GeForce Now is concerned, or anything like that?
All of a sudden they're doing it, but quite honestly, I don't know what their actual position was previous to that. But knowing that they now have a stake in it, you're like, yeah, that's of course what you're gonna do. You made a deal, and now you're like, all right, let's do this. I want to make more money. It's just gonna make Nvidia more powerful. I mean, Nvidia is like the only real graphics cards that people actually talk about nowadays, aside from AMD. Or I can't remember. There's an AMD company. It's not AMD. It's not even called AMD. That's the problem. AMD is the type of card that they make.
Yeah. What's like Renzon or something like that, right? Something like
Radeon. That's what it is.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that. I was like, what is their position before? Oh, if only we had an insider. If only we had a Luis to kind of explain things. But hey, by the way, Nvidia.
We don't know if he's alive though.
We don't know if he's alive. But look, by the way, Nvidia, Luis don't tell us crap. Just to make it clear, he don't tell us nothing. But yeah, Nvidia's having their full force. So that's another guy, and of course another person right now is that Nintendo. Now we mentioned it before. But now Microsoft is quote-unquote making it official. They're saying they're making a binding 10-year legal contract with Nintendo. That's according to Microsoft. They say they will launch, they said specifically, they will launch Call of Duty on Nintendo platforms, quote, the same day as Xbox with full feature and content parity, end quote. Of course, full feature must mean like they have the multiplayer and online and all that. But we know we don't have the graphic capability to run a Call of Duty, or even microphone support or whatever it is, man. The chat is broken. You're gonna have to get on a Discord or whatever it is. But hey, what do you think, man? Is it gonna happen? Are you excited about playing Switch on or Call of Duty on a portable?
My problem is playing any of those games on the Switch. I mean, Nintendo has a very specific type of market that they can cater to, which is generally just playing games for fun rather than for competition in all cases. But throwing Call of Duty on there means that they're throwing in a huge competitor that's very well known for trying to make their graphics better. And we don't have an HD Switch.
And they said we won't have one, as we talked about last week. We will not have one anytime soon.
So man. you might as well play Call of Duty on a CRT.
I don't know, man. I'll gamefly it. I'll gamefly it. You know, I'll do it. I'll check it out. I'll bite the bullet or whatever. But yeah, so it's this thing has been going on for a while. We're just kind of checking out these kind of wrinkles. I think the new thing is that, like I said, the binding 10-year legal contract, because part of one of the regulars were actually talking about is yeah, but they can say whatever they want, it doesn't mean anything. And now Microsoft's like, no, this is a binding contract, we're serious about this. And then of course Nvidia saying
it's going to happen.
We approve of it, it's fine. We were concerned about GeForce now, but it's fine. We'll move into quick takes, Dalan. There's going to be a PlayStation State of Play, which is tomorrow. By the time this podcast goes up, there's going to be a PlayStation State of Play tomorrow, Thursday, February 23rd at 1 p.m. Pacific. There's 3 kind of bullet points that PlayStation blog mentioned. As far as we did see that GameStop says that Suicide Squad, they have it down as May 25th, 2023. Suicide Squad. What is it called? It's a whole long old title, right? Kill the Suicide Squad or something like that.
No, I think it was like isn't it Kill the Batman?
No, it's like Kill. You might have seen it in the advertisement like that, but it's Kill like the Suicide Squad or whatever. And that can always change, but May 25th, we'll find out soon enough. We'll find out tomorrow. There's going to be an extended look, so I think they're actually going to spend quite a bit of time talking about this game. I'm kind of on blackout, Dalan. I don't know if you're going to be kind of looking at it. But it should be, I think they might have said like 15 minutes or so.
Hey, I got you. Kill the Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League.
Oh, there you go. It's a big old game. They will also talk about 5 PSVR games, which, by the way, what is it, Tuesday? I should be having my PSVR 2 tomorrow. Or the next day, or today.
You sound very excited about this. You already fully paid for it.
I was not excited about that thing hitting my credit card balance. I didn't appreciate that. But look, I'm gonna have some impressions for you guys next week. They also did mention for the State of Play that they're gonna have quote unquote new looks from partners. We'll see what that means. We'll see. Hopefully, there's some exciting stuff. We'll see something else. Dan, you'll be tuning into that State of Play tomorrow.
No, I have a dentist appointment.
Okay, well, at the dentist while you're waiting, man.
What? I'm gonna have a drill in my mouth by that point.
No, while you're waiting to be seated or whatever.
I will be seated as soon as I get there.
There's not too much of a wait there, huh? You have a good dentist.
No, my dentist is good.
He's like, come in, man. It's like, all right, here it goes. The next thing on here, I don't know these names, Dalan. So to me, I was like, Kazuya Mishima. I was like, who is that? Then I looked it up.
Kazuya Mishima. You know who Kazuya is.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters, right? It's not a new surprise or anything like that. But
they're good. No, it's Heihachi, who is the main character who you saw in, like, I don't know, you saw him in Soul Calibur 2 of all things, along with Spawn and Link. About, yeah. The guy who punches. But his son is Kazuya Mishima. Okay. That's who that is.
Right. But he's been in the games before, right? Or no?
He's been in the game since part 1. He's the one who Heihachi threw off the cliff.
Spoilers for a game from like '96, but that's fine.
That is not a spoiler, because in the following game, Kazuya came back, threw Heihachi out the cliff. Then Heihachi came back, threw Kazuya out the cliff. We went over this before.
That's wacky, dude.
That's their family, the motto. They kept throwing each other off that same damn
there's
cliff.
A Tekken 8 trailer if you guys want to see it. Dalan is on blackout, so you're not even looking at none of these trailers, Dalan. Are you on blackout?
Nope.
All right, but you're ready. I don't want to hear you game flying this stuff. Yeah, I don't want to hear you game flying this. You're day one situation, right?
I'm buying that game.
All right, the next thing we have on here, Blumhouse is apparently getting into video games. Blumhouse, is it Bloom? I think it's Blumhouse. I think it's Blum. I feel like that's Blum.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Blumhouse.
Blumhouse is getting into video games. They made M3GAN. They just made M3GAN. They made Get Out, Insidious. They make a whole bunch of like indie sort of horror movies.
I think they made what was the name of a game that people Dare? Truth or Dare? They did Truth or Dare.
So they have made a game before.
No. I'm talking about the movie Truth or Dare.
Oh, okay. Well, potentially, yeah. They made a whole bunch of these movies. They're kind of like indie horror movies. So we'll see what they do, right? What's got you hyped, Dalan? What's got your interest piqued, so to speak, as far as them getting into video games?
The fact that they, even though they're an indie company or they've been an indie company, the reason that they're able to get into video games is because they know what they're doing and they're making money. They have actually been like. Most of the good horror movies in the past like 10, 15 years have been through Blumhouse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but that's
as long as they stay, if they stay in the horror genre, we'll be okay.
Yeah, but that's movie wise, right? We got to find out if they got the gaming chops, right? Like, if they can
does it translate?
Does
it translate?
I did want to mention this real quick because I thought that was kind of hilarious. But so apparently, Pokemon Go players were asked to stay away from a Las Vegas event if they didn't have the $30 pass, and I was like, oh damn, they're being real strict. Like, they can't even hang around. Apparently, the issue was, though, and this is from IGN, this is a tweet from IGN, quote, Niantic later acknowledged the issue in a tweet from the official Pokemon Go account stating that an additional 17,000 trainers without tickets joined us at the park, causing spotty connectivity throughout the day. So, so they're telling people, hey, stay away only if you paid $30 because you're affecting their experience for the ones that did pay the $30. And apparently it was 17,000 people that decided to hang around without having paid for the little season pass or the little items.
Hey, man.
But that was funny, man.
They should have upped their security properly.
They're like, go away. Go away. It's okay if you're hanging around. No, it's you're making it bad. You're making the internet.
No, you're not invited. Click. Go away.
It's pretty rude of them, right? But yeah, so that happened. That's kind of, I thought that was a little chuckly. The other thing we found out this past week, Dan, that there's gonna be a Capcom Cup. It's gonna be $1 million for first place. It's gonna be the first one to feature Street Fighter 6. And this is a tweet according to VGC saying, quote, Capcom Cup X or 10. I don't know which one it is, Dan. Is it X or 10? Is it the 10?
It'll be 10 because this is not new.
Okay, Capcom Cup 10 will be played on Street Fighter 6 with the winner receiving a whopping $1 million. That's the official Street Fighter 6 tweet. Who wants to be a millionaire, Dalan? Are you ready? Are you bringing your gamepad or are you bringing your arcade stick? What are you doing, man, to try to get this
Dude,
down?
I have not seriously played Street Fighter since Street Fighter 6. Since Street Fighter 4 Championship Edition. I would get murdered if I pick up those sticks.
All right, there you go. This is a lot. Have they done this much before? Is this why it's such a big deal?
This is
a lot.
This is actually not new. I think it's just the fact that there's the announcement, and now gaming news has become more prevalent than it was a couple of years ago. But it's been a while since they've actually had $1 million prize. I know that there was a point where it was 500,000 recently. Yeah, it's been a while.
They have done $1 million though. I don't know.
Yes, they have done. They have done a $1 million prize before.
I will tentatively believe you on that, but I feel like the fact that it's being kind of a big deal for people, it's got to say something. It's got to say something, I feel. But hey, there it is, Capcom Cup 10. Are you going to try to participate in this in any way?
Hell no! First off, put me in Evo and see how long I last. I'll be at the bottom 15,000. All right,
that's true.
But you throw me in a Street Fighter tournament, I will be knocked out during the preliminaries. I won't even be on the roster anymore.
Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Would you enter?
I'll tell you what. If you had a big money King of Fighters tournament, or even a big money Tekken tournament, I might practice enough to be able to do that. I might practice to stand a chance. Right now, I've seen how these people play in tournaments online. I would still get murdered.
That's fine. Now, are you going in gamepad or arcade stick, Dalan, if you were to try it?
Arcade stick.
Okay, there you go. Hey, gamepad people have won a couple times over time.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised by that, but there's just something about the arcade stick that's it's got the feels to it.
There you go. The next thing we have on here is a Diablo 4. The Diablo 4 beta starts March 17th to March 19th. Dalan, are you kind of hyped about this? You kind of getting into it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, just want to mention it.
I will say this is that Diablo is still a good game, and I'm always happy to see that they're still continuing on, even after their little hiccups, especially after, what was it, Diablo Legends or whatever it was.
Well, even Diablo 3 sort of had a little bit of a couple missteps, right? When
it wasn't like Diablo Legends. Well, that was the mobile one, right?
Yeah, no, I know it wasn't as bad as that, or the fiasco, or whatever you want to call it, but what I'm saying is Diablo 3 still had a little bit of a rocky start, right? So
yeah, it had a rocky start, but it gained some steam. There
though. You go. The next thing we have on here is that there's going to be no DLC for Hogwarts Legacy, or at least that's the point that they're at now. The
That's a lie.
developers are saying they're focusing on perfecting the base game because people are kind of hyped. They're looking forward to like a Quidditch, and for now there will be no Quidditch. But I don't know. The game's mega successful. We talked about it before, how it's kind of surpassed.
It's a little bit buggy.
Well, buggy, but I mean even like the controversy and people attempting to boycott that didn't work. Right, people are buying them like hotcakes. So, yeah. So it's coming, right? I think it's just a matter of like they're waiting to. How successful is it, right? We have this controversy. We have all this going on.
They're like, let's fix our base game. Let's not worry about the controversy right now because we're too big to fail. It was like just hearing the controversy at all was a hiccup from 10 miles away. Like, yeah. They're over there. They're saying stuff, but we're fine. Don't worry about it.
But I mean, you must think they were still a little bit nervous in a way, though, because DLC is announced. Dude, yes, DLC is announced like day one. DLC, like you find out, even Sonic Frontiers, where it's like, where is this? We haven't heard anything about it. They have a plan. They have a map of like, okay, the next little update is this or that. So, but now that the game is, blown up and there's like, nobody can stop us, I guess. Maybe they feel that confident. They just got to clean up the game. And that's what they're saying while they're like, all right, what do we do? We got to give people Quidditch or something like that.
Maybe they'll make a Hogwarts too. Or maybe they'll make another school.
Well,
and expand on the universe.
Yeah, that's also potentially true, right? I mean, they could be like, we're just going to put this into the next game. We're sorry, guys. But we're going to find out. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. One thing that we found out soon enough about, though, that I just want to quickly mention, is that Redfall, the game that's from an arcane-ass arcane game, I'm sure, that we're going to play. And I even promised to Luis because he said, it comes out on my birthday. So I was like, damn, okay, I got to do it. I have to play it.
Just be like, hey, Luis, I'm going skydiving on my birthday. I can't play.
But Redfall, there was a little bit of controversy online for a game that's kind of persistently online, like a Destiny, like an Outriders. People were saying like it doesn't come with the disc, and then Bethesda support said, whoa, hold on. It's going to come with the disc. So all you guys that were a little confused, a little scared, there's going to be a disc in there for you to quickly install. Right. The next one, this one's for you, Dalan. Sonic Frontiers is quote unquote greatly exceeded expectations. We did talk a little bit about it last week. I think it was like 2.5 million copies or somewhere along there. They did say that sales exceeded forecast predictions. And the last time we saw a 3D Sonic game was 5 years ago with Sonic Forces. So I guess it's a good thing. And you did say the director was right, though, which I was like, hey, Dalan, but you did say he was right that we didn't know what we were talking about.
I did mention that previously, and in this particular case, it was one of those. This is one of those where they were taking so much flack and so much bad press based on just their initial release of some of the video that they thought they were going to lose a lot more money. But then it came out, and people are like, "Oh, this is not what we expected." Tell people. And Carlos, I still say you should play the game at least once because I know you like some Sonic games. Don't lie.
I'm okay with them. I did have a Dreamcast and I had to play Sonic Adventure, but we're not in those times, man. We're not in those like where we barely have enough games. There's too many games at this point.
There's barely enough time to play the games we have.
But I will consider maybe taking some time for Sonic Frontiers at some point. What I will really kind of want to consider though is the Tetris Effect Kinect'd is getting new modes February 22nd. Two of the modes that kind of interested me that they're going to be adding PSVR 2 modes, which I'm interested because I am, like I said, I'm getting the headset soon. But it's a paid one. From what I understand, it's a paid update. So I don't know. They got to convince me, but I have the game and I have the headset, so I probably will. The other one that's kind of interested is Tate mode for Nintendo Switch, which is when you rotate the screen, the Switch screen, right, and you can kind of have it horizontally, I guess.
Okay.
So Tate mode for the Nintendo Switch. That kind of I've been on two fences, Dalan. I've been on the fence of getting Tony Hawk 2 remastered or whatever on the Switch and Tetris Effect Kinect'd because those are like perfect like. Let me throw this on, man. It kind of sucks at work right now. Let me on my break, on my lunch. Let me just play this. Let me just get into this.
Hey,
so this one's
Tetris, you can stop anytime.
That's well, Tony Hawk, you can. You go on a run for 2 minutes. Too little.
Man. You're just sitting there trying to grind all day, get all the points. For Tetris, you're like, all right, I could come back into this level. It's good. Tetris is Tetris.
Well, look, the good thing about both is that it's on the Tetris. It's on the Switch, Or you can just
on
put that
Tetris.
thing to sleep if you need to, all right? If you need to, you can
I'll
put
see
that thing-
Tony Hawk on Tetris. That's fine.
Yeah, and I think Tony Hawk's been like $20 or something. Like, so I just gotta grab it on. Both of these have been sort of on sale. I just need to grab them on the next sale. The next one, this one's for you, Dalan. But Forspoken.
Why is it always for me?
I'm just because some of these you put no on here, but I've managed to reel you in. For the last couple of them. The last one for quick takes is Forspoken is nothing like quote unquote the original pitch. This from Gary Whitta. Gary Whitta, by the way, he did Rogue One. He wrote that story, and he's wrote for a couple games, I think, so far. And he used to be a journalist, a game journalist, if you guys don't know his background, but he's moved on to the more movie and writing situations. But he was in the original writer's room, and he came up with the name for Athea for the world. And this is from an article that I pulled a quote from Eurogamer that said, quote, some months after that, they came back to me and one of the other writers and said, we're going to start over to completely reboot the story. We want it to be this now, he continued. That was a brand new story about a young woman from the real world being sucked into a fantasy realm. The story found in the game today. The version that we did was nothing like that. So I don't know if he's necessarily like sour grapes, but it is a little sour grapes where he's like, look, we worked on a specific story at the beginning of Forspoken when I was still involved, and I think from what I understand, Amy Hennig was involved, which I had completely forgot about. So you got Amy Hennig and you got Gary Whitta loosely attached, because by the end of it they were no longer attached and they switched up the story. But what came out, I've talked about it before. I think I might have talked about it last week or in the last couple weeks. The game was okay. The story was a little bit better. Gamefly it if you get it for cheap discount, if you seem kind of interested, mess with it. But what
you're just basically saying, don't buy it full price, just try it. There's a demo out, play the demo, you get a whole hour
try
of it.
It's a little rough. It's like 2.5 yeah, it's a game. It does exist. I'm proud of them making a game and it launching. But what does this say to you, Dalan, I suppose, whether because you haven't played the game yet, right? But what does it say, I guess?
But quite honestly, the reason I was so excited for the game was because I saw that initial trailer of Athea when it was actually called that, or Project Athea at the time, as a matter of fact.
And the world is still called Athea. The world is called Athea, not the game, right?
Yeah.
The world, yeah.
But then when it cracks me up that they came and they said, we want it to be this now.
That's pretty good, right? There's like, Gary Whitta, can you help us, man? You're the guy from Star Wars Rogue One. Can you help us? And they're like, we gotta do this, Gary. We gotta do this. Gary.
It's like thanks for helping us, but it's now this. You're like, okay, fuck me then. I'm just gonna go.
I'm just gonna go do my own thing. And that guy's doing perfectly well, man. From what I understand, he just sold like 2 movies or something like that. So he's fine.
He's fine.
But it's one of those George R. Martin, how he kind of comes in and sprinkles a little George R. Martin magic into Elden Ring. And it's like, I'm out. So, except with Gary Whitta, they said, you know what, we're gonna throw this out. We're gonna throw the whole thing out. Anything else on that, Dan? Before we
hey man, this turned into the Joss Whedon story right here. But hey, the fact is that I was waiting for that original version of that Project Athea, and I thought they were keeping it the same. They just renamed it Forspoken. But then I found out that they switched up the story. They switched up what was happening in the game. They even switched up what engine they were really using at the time, and I was just like,
it's pretty rough, man. It's kind of rough.
It's like I want to play it just to see what they actually did with it, but then at the same time, I'm like, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I had been waiting for.
Dalan, we'll go into what you've been playing here. We've been doing good time, man. We've been talking about keeping these episodes short, and we finally did it, I think. I guess we'll find out in the next couple
it's just
topics.
because it's just me and you. Yeah. But wait until we get 3 people again. It's gonna get wacky.
But look, even for what you've been playing, Destiny 2, I'm hooked because we have a deadline, right? I'm putting off everything else. Look, I'm putting off 2 things right now. I'm supposed to be playing Hogwarts Legacy, but I'm catching up on the movies. I'm supposed to be playing that or catching up to those movies, but I'm playing Destiny because I need to catch up to the story and all that. But I think we're gonna, if we have time, hopefully we have time, we'll work on some weapons today, right? Later on today. Or actually, no, not today, huh? You're off on that.
Hey, let's not talk about it.
We won't talk about it, but Destiny 2 basically is the season of the Seraph, I believe. That's kind of like...
Yes.
It's okay. A lot of grind. Like I told you before, it's like, these Destiny... This is basically that campaign, right? It's the campaign plus. They can't call it a campaign because obviously there's a grind to it. They feed you a little bit of story. You're going to replay those same levels like 3 or 4 times. And in between those times, you're going to grind a couple missions you've done before. But I'm in, dude. My light level's been going up, which is kind of key, right? You're always kind of looking at the light level. As long as that thing's going up, you're making progress, and we'll be ready for Lightfall. We'll be ready.
Hey, but this last mission, they cap your light level. No. It's not a spoiler. The level is your light level is capped.
Yeah.
So
it's a little rough.
So I believe like the highest light level right now is like 1590. Mm-hmm. That mission is capped at 1350.
It's rough, man. It's super rough because I actually did it to the very end, and it was okay every single level, and then I got to the boss, and maybe sort of possible, right? If I kind of look at my weapons, I was like, I don't want to do this, man. Just next time Dalan's on, let's play. Just help me. So that's what I've been playing, man. Destiny 2. You have been playing Destiny 2, Dalan, as well, but
I've just kind of been helping you with it, and I actually went and got the catalyst for the exotic weapon for the Seraph, for the Season of the Seraph, and I had to do that exotic mission on legendary mode, and I'm gonna say this on wax right now. I went and got a pickup group. I was LFG. Hey, I didn't know if you guys would ever get to that point, and I'm down to go do it with you too, but you're gonna have to deal with the frustration. But we'll be on mic, because these people that are not on microphones, damn, they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I got some people that hadn't done it at all for the first time, and they're jumping straight into legendary mode, and then we get to the final boss. They tried it like twice, and they dropped out on me. I was like, okay, that's fine. I killed the boss by myself. It took like 30 to 45 minutes, but I did it.
You just had to do it. What else you been playing, Dalan? And look, that's kind of what happens in Destiny 2 sometimes, man. It's kind of like, this is rough. People are dropping like flies. Whatever. I'm just going to have to continue this way. But
that's why you want to try and get a good group together, man, if you can.
What else you been playing, Dalan?
Other than that, I actually started up Deathloop because I wanted to actually try that out, because after all of you're saying it's not good and Lou's saying it is good, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Fair. But I can't say that it's a bad game or as much as you thought, because it's not as
well. And hold on, don't put me in that camp either. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad game. It's just not for me, and I don't want to play it. That's it. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not for me. But go ahead, Dave.
But there are many games where it's like you have to go to a specific area during a certain time of the day. And I think there's like 6 or 7 areas, because I didn't get that far into the game yet. But the fact is that the different things can happen at different times of the day. But the thing that I really like about it is that the game will keep track of everything that you have learned. Yeah. Like when you actually get important clues, it's like, all right, we know what clues you have. You don't have to remember them. We're just gonna put them in this list for you.
Even if it's remembering it for me, man, I was like, I just don't want to.
Dude, I picked up like 6 clues, and I didn't even know I picked up 6 clues. I had like the one main clue I was looking for, and then I went to my menu. I was like, when did I get these other clues? You might just run across clues, but there's a lot of fun little murder time in it when everybody's actually notified. Way too many people run at you, especially when you ain't got enough weapons. Yeah. You technically have 3 lives because you can come back to life, but after that you get reset and stuff.
I think that's kind of what I didn't like. That kind of limiter right there, where it's like I only have 3 lives, and then you gotta reset. But the presentation is beautiful. And if you Dalan, you like the lore, you like all the little details to stuff, so you probably get a kick. What's the thing you don't like, I guess? What's kind of the thing you're not digging about it?
No, that's good. It's kind of the 2 sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. It's the fact on one side you have all this progress that's saved for you, and it's actually really fun to go in and actually do all these fights and stuff like that. But you can get very sidetracked very easily in the area that you're in. There's no real direction when you're actually looking for these clues, with the exception that you're on a map and it says go find it. It gives you a waypoint, but you have absolutely no idea how to get to that waypoint, and then you just run it across all these things that are obviously they're like obstacles, and they're trying to throw tiny little things at you. But then there's the idea that I have to come back at different times of the days. I'm not trying to remember.
See, I don't want to come back at dinner. I don't want to come back during breakfast time. It's a little different. What else you been messing with, Dalan?
Then the last game that I actually had a chance to touch base on was Ghost Runner. People got it confused with
Neon
what
White.
was it?
Neon White?
No, not Neon White. I talked about it before that I had actually played it. Ghost something Tokyo. I can't remember the name of it right now. Ghostwire Tokyo. But it's not Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghost Runner is a first person. I don't want to say platformer, free running game. No. It's free running game. Okay. Yes, parkour. You're very much parkouring everywhere. You are a ninja with powers. You're actually like a cyborg robot trying to actually regain your all of your abilities and trying to get upgrades.
It's one of those that I definitely, next time I have my Plus Supreme activated, I meant to play it last time I had my Plus Supreme, but next time I get it, it's one of those that's definitely in my backlog, man. It's fun though.
It is fun and it is frustrating at the same time. It very much. What was the phrase that we use when there's like there's no room for error? There's like very little room. What's the phrase that we use for that? It's unforgiving. It's very unforgiving.
Well, it's Mirror's Edge. It's Mirror's Edgy as well, right? Kind of a little Mirror's Edge style.
It's a little. It's mainly Mirror's Edge, but there's a little bit of Dishonored in there.
Okay. Oh no, they're not Dishonored, man. That's an arcade game. But look, we'll end
but it's not like you're getting reset or nothing like that. You're actually going through stages, right. So you have to like beat level by level, and there's like really quick runs that you could do. Man. But for me, it felt a little dishonoring.
You really had to bring up Dishonored, Dalan. That's how we're gonna end the episode. Look, next week I should have some impressions of PlayStation VR 2, so look forward to that. I'm Carlos Macias, the master. What did you say, Dalan? Of I don't even care.
Toothpaste and toothbrushes.
Toothpaste and toothbrushes. Thank you. After the credits, by the way, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us, so stick around, and we're going to kind of splice out the episode as well, so you guys can have fun with that. Good job, Dalan, shaking your head over there. Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains, thank you for joining me, sir. I hope you're not going to get hit up. By the way, real quick, you said you could take a little bit of heat, because you may or may not be on task. We'll say on task, whatever that means.
I'm fine. I did a whole bunch of actual work, and I actually got ahead of the game.
So, okay, we got you. Thank you for hanging out, Dalan. After the post credits here, it's just what we call it. We're just gonna go right into it. We're gonna talk about the Last of Us,
mini
episode 6. So thank you for joining us, and stick around for The Last of Us. And we'll get right to it, Dalan. I'm Carlos Macias. No masters of nothing. Just we're gonna talk about The Last of Us.
Hey, you're master of none.
Oh, you're
master of none.
There you go. Who was the guy that did the show? Master of None, whatever. Aziz Ansari. I actually met that man in person at one point. I didn't know he was famous. Whoever I was with, it was a staff person.
Just meeting famous people. Actually, I don't care.
I was there with Tina Sanchez. She used to work at 1UP. I think she's at Activision now. But she was like, "Don't you know Aziz Ansari?" I was like, "I don't know this man, but I'll take a picture with him." So Carlos Macias, the master of none.
You make people sad, man.
Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains, and we're gonna talk about The Last of Us, Dalan. The episode 6. This one is called Kin. It was kind of interesting, right? It started off with like Joel and Ellie kind of breaking into an older couple's house, sort of, and it was kind of very much like the old couple was like, "Did you tell him the truth? What do I say? What do you say?" You know, it's very much like a nice little.
Wait, did you tell him the truth? Yeah. Are you telling me the truth? Yeah.
So it starts off nice.
I don't know if I can trust you. I'm your wife, and I can't trust you.
But you get those little vibes if you've been married for a while, if you've been in a relationship for a while. You understand, right? You understand this old couple that they kind of ran into. They don't play out the scene too much, right? It's very quick kind of cold open or an opener, right? It's a few months since the last time we saw them.
3 months.
Was it 3 months later? So it's kind of an interesting little open, and they're basically still looking for Tommy, right? But that was a nice little opener. See, they haven't been as good as the first 2 episodes, right? I was hoping they'd keep that up, but I guess it's kind of hard to come up with amazing openers, right? Like, oh, this is how the virus spreads, and then the scene with the lady, right, that she's at the lab.
And they didn't do any of those little flashback things. So
it's kind of but it's funny to see, right? Like, it's kind of this relationship that Joel and Ellie have been building, where Joel is like a little more scared than she is. She's kind of a little more like, let's do it, let's run and gun kind of thing. And even what the lady says, it's like, Ellie, like whatever the lady said in response to that, she was like, "Oh, I'm not scared," and the lady was like, "Oh, he is," and you could see like, yeah, I am a little scared because the relationship has gotten closer, so he kind of does see her as a daughter, right? And then you see these other things where he's kind of maybe having like health problems, where it's kind of like a cold air.
I couldn't tell if he was having a heart attack or not, because I think it happened to him a couple of times throughout the episode, and I don't remember him having a heart condition like that in the game.
Yeah, there's little odds and ends and interesting things that the show is doing, right, compared to the game. I mean, one of the biggest things is the fact that when you go into, like, you finally find Tommy, he's in the town, that you don't really see it in Last of Us 1. You don't see it like that. And actually, I don't even think if they're in a town like that. Aren't they like in a water generator or something like that? It's not until like Last of Us Part 2. So these are like Part 2 spoilers that you see like they're in Tommy's town, right? Like or the town that like he lives on, right? Or am I remembering this
the one that he ended up settling at for quite some time. That's what it was. And quite honestly, I barely remember that town was in the game. Though, man, it's been so long since I've actually played Last of Us 1. Now I'm like, man, I feel like I need to go back and replay this game because there's a lot of this stuff I actually don't remember. But then as the episode goes on, I'm like, oh, wait, I do remember this happening.
But you remember it in Part 2. You remember in Part 2.
Yeah, I remember in Part 2 for sure.
Getting the
Well, I figured they ended up going back to that town because they ended up establishing it at some point. So it makes sense that after they're done with the run that they that Ellie and Joel have to do, that they need to find a place to really settle down, because what else are they got to do now?
And there's a couple like little interesting scenes in the show. In this episode, anyways. Like for example, the scene where Ellie is kind of they're kind of having her. They give her a room and they give her a place to stay, but she's kind of looking around and she sees like on a blackboard, right, or one of those green boards, like what are they called? Are they called a blackboard still? Kind of like those with the chalk, right? A chalkboard.
A chalkboard. I was about to say.
We got to the bottom of this real quick, Dalan. But on the chalkboard, you see two names, right? And she goes and tells like Tommy's wife, which by the way, Joel is like, congrats, I guess, on you being married now. But Ellie goes ahead and while his wife is giving him a haircut, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry about your children," and that's actually where Ellie finds out. It's like, no, that one of them is actually Joel's child. Only one of them is mine. So you start kind of getting
I kind of feel like we just or at least I just found out that that Joel is really Republican.
Well, I mean,
I know, but I just felt
conservative,
it.
I suppose, which is fine. And you get the whole thing where it's like, I'm a contractor. I used to be a contractor, and Ellie has no idea what that means, right?
Everybody loves contractors.
And he's like, did everyone love contractors? Like, yeah, everyone loves contractors. So he's able to rewrite the book, I guess, in a way, right? As far as perceptions that we have in the real world versus in that story, right, that Ellie kind of doesn't know a lot. But we do get to a point where it's like sort of like that. We might get more of that, right? Like his kind of, whether it's a heart condition or whatever it was, but he even talks to Tommy about it.
It's such a weird thing.
He talks to Tommy about it, right? Like he's like, oh, I feel like I'm failing all the time. Even in my sleep, I feel like I'm failing, right? So it's kind of like
but I don't know if that heart condition is really a part of fear, because spoiler alert for the video game, there's that period of time where Ellie has to take care of Joel in the winter time.
Okay, spoiler, and we don't know if it's going to happen that way in the show.
Yes, that's the thing. That's my point. Is we don't know if it's going to happen that way. We don't even know if it's going to happen. And I'm thinking that this whole stabbing situation, stabby, is how they end up doing this.
But before we get there, Dalan, as far as like the Tommy and the Joel conversation, it's the same way where he's trying to pawn off Ellie, right? It's like, you need to take her, and eventually like Ellie finds out because she was eavesdropping, right? And she was like, you were gonna just pawn me off on this random person right now.
No, I have a question, because I don't remember seeing it during the episode. Was there a point where you could actually see Ellie like listening in?
It's one of those, it's reference. Because you see her walking around. You see her walking around the town, but you don't actually see her doing it. It's not until the next day where it's like, "You're gonna leave me with him," and it's like the scene exactly from the game, right? It's
she quoted him word for word.
Yeah. So it was like an exact word for word. Even the directors at the end of the episode, you can see like we wanted it word for word. We wanted it exactly as it was in the game. It's a powerful enough scene. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because it could be a hard thing, or it could be like just kind of panic attacks, right? Like how he and maybe it's one of those like maybe anxiety or panic attacks. Remember, he thinks he sees his daughter at one point, and that seems to calm him down, right? Like that seems to calm his whatever condition is or whatever potential condition is.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case here, but maybe that's most likely how they're going to go about it in this particular way.
But and then, like you were saying, Dylan, he wakes up and she yelled at him. It's like, "You're just gonna leave me," right? She wakes up and does that, and eventually like, "All right, you're coming with me," right? He kind of makes up a story about like, "I'm trying to steal a horse," but he's like, "No, I'm going with me. Who do you want to go with?"
I was waiting around for like a half an hour. Yeah. I could have been gone.
Yeah, because he even asked her, right? It's like, "Oh, okay, do you want to go with Tommy or me?" And she just like slams the backpack on him, right? Like,
no, that's not even a question. Why are you questioning?
So I think it was a decent enough episode, but you know what? Towards the end, how did you feel about towards the end? Because towards like the end of the episode, where like you spoiled, but this is spoiler talk, right? He does get stabbed, but in the game, it's not a very. It feels like rushed. I feel in the episode, right? Probably because they're running out of runtime and they're like, all right, he needs to get stabbed at some point. That needs to happen. But how did you feel, man? Did you feel like it was rushed, or you feel like they gave it enough time to get there?
And this is one of those things where I actually did well. Okay, the 3-month gap is where I felt weird about it because once again, the video game that was the third act because there was 4 acts in the original Last of Us game.
Yeah, I think
because they were going through
like
each
season. The seasons, yeah.
Yeah. So when they jumped from summer to winter really fast, I was like, I feel like we skipped a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I really felt it because when you're playing the game, obviously there's a lot more time that goes into playing a game like this. It could be a 40-hour game to beat the game, and I don't feel like they hit that 20-hour mark to say let's jump to the next season. Yeah. We're on what, episode 6? We went through 20 hours. We went through 20 hours of gameplay in 6 hours.
Well, it's not and that suddenly long. The game not that long. It may be like 15 hours. 15 hours total. But yeah, 8 hours or so, which is kind of like 6 hours of TV. So they're still lagging behind. They're still kind of lagging behind, right? The video game. There's still more that can happen.
And at the rate that it's going, I feel like they're going to complete the entire first game by the time all 8 episodes are.
That's kind of the concerning part, right? Is that, look, that next episode 7, and they already said it. I don't know. Did you look at the spoilers? It's basically Left Behind. Left Behind, they're gonna talk about it, and as they did with Bill and Frank's episode, right? It's a full-on episode, right? So we won't even get back to is Joel alive or not. To people that haven't played the game, they don't know if Joel or not will be alive until 2 episodes from now. So they won't even know until the Left Behind. Or unless, it's potentially they could kind of reveal it at the end of Left Behind episode next week. Right, but yes, we're definitely running out of time, Dalan, and it's supposed to only be 9 episodes, so we got 3 episodes left, and they're gonna dedicate one of those next week to Left Behind, which was a very short kind of story, right? Maybe they kind of go back and forth, and we do get some progress, kind of like with flashbacks and all that stuff. But actually, that's kind of one of the last things I wanted to kind of talk to you about is how do you feel about that? That's like the next week it's Left Behind episode, I guess. How do you feel about that?
I am watching Last of Us for Last of Us, so it's a little upsetting that we're jumping franchises.
No, you're not jumping franchises.
I know.
It's the same franchise. It's a sort of prequel. It's a prequel, the DLC. Did you play it actually? Did you play Left Behind?
I started it. Actually, and my game glitched out on me when I got to the mall or something like that. I was supposed to be walking outside going somewhere, and the map did not load, and my character fell to the floor, and I never came back. And I tried 3 more times, and it kept happening. I was like, I guess I'm not gonna play this DLC.
You are out of control. I did tell my daughter at the end of this episode, she was kind of like, I have to be Last of Us. I have to know what's happening because she just saw Joel get stabbed. She doesn't know whether he lives or not. She hasn't made it that far into the game. I was like, are you gonna play it now to find out? She's like, I have to beat it. And what about Left Behind? Are you gonna beat that? And she's like, yeah, I have to beat Left Behind too. So, what are you thinking, Dylan? Are you gonna watch the episode, or are you gonna actually try to get around to it this next week and beat Left Behind?
Absolutely not. I'm just gonna watch the episode.
There you go. Well, we'll see. We'll see kind of how that plays out. What would you give this episode, Dylan? What rating would you give it?
Out of 10. Mm-hmm. I mean, there wasn't a lot of action. There was a few moments of suspense. Really, there was that whole thing about Death River that was weird for me.
That was interesting. When they go by it, when they go by it, right? They're like, "Is that what he was talking about? That was it."
Yeah. And they do that like 3 or 4 times. Like, I think that's Death River. Oh wait, maybe this is Death River. Oh wait, maybe this is Death River. Oh, now we're caught and surrounded. All right. Hey, that was a very tense moment with that dog. I had no idea which way they were going to go. See,
so they do add little things to the show, right? That they weren't necessarily in the game, and like there's little moments where like it's pretty cool.
So those little things that they did throughout the episode gave me a little extra faith in the episode itself, but it was all in all not the greatest episode, so I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10.
It's kind of come down the high, right? I mean, I think it's like the first episode and the second episode because we're like, hey, this is amazing. They're doing a great job, and I think they're still doing a decent job.
Hey, man, they just need to get back to the clickers. All right, get back to the clickers and the bloaters and all the things that could potentially kill everybody.
Hey, but I will say this though, and I'll put it on wax. You're acting real Ben Shapiro out here, dude.
Hell no, he's over here talking about zombies.
Yes, but it was clickers, zombies, whatever, Dalan. But the show isn't necessarily about the clickers or zombies, but there's a scarcity, right? There is a scarcity of clickers happening on these
That's my problem, is that there's that scarcity. At least every so often show some of the trials and tribulations they went through to get to the points that they're at, because it hits harder when they've had to try harder to get there.
Yeah. Well, look, whatever it is, it's a big success. I know one of the news bits I have on here is that it has hit, whatever this means, right? But it's hit 830 million minutes on HBO's The Last of Us on the HBO Max app or HBO, whatever it is, which is trending higher than House of the Dragon. So it obviously has captured the imagination or the suspense.
Hey, this is hey man, this is HBO fresh. House of the Dragons is not HBO fresh. Even though it's nice, it's not HBO fresh.
If this was what does that mean, man? That was a good show. That was a decent show.
Hey, no, my point being is that we watched Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And now this is a spinoff of Game of Thrones. Okay. Last of Us, this is their first go at it, and people are interested to see how this rolls out. I mean, what was it? It was what was the name of that zombie show that everybody was watching? I can't remember right now. The Walking Dead. Walking Dead was AMC fresh, and then they got a number of seasons into it, and they were like, let's make a spinoff. It was no longer AMC fresh.
They're not done, man. They finished The Walking Dead proper, and now they're like, we still have more spinoffs to go. So
it's what I'm talking about. And you watch a spinoff, and it's like, it's no longer AMC fresh. It's an AMC money maker, but it's not AMC fresh.
You've done this before. You act like people know these things, so you gotta explain them. Like people know what fresh means or whatever.
No. In this particular case, that one's on me. I kind of did that on purpose.
Look, that's another Last of Us episode 6. Kin. Next week will be interesting. So I kind of want to see what your thoughts. So you're not gonna play the game, Dalan. I kind of want to see your thoughts on it, not having played that DLC of it, and what you think of it. But we'll see. We'll see you guys next week. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what was it this time, Dalan?
The master of brush your teeth.
No, you said the master of toothbrushes. You said the master of none. That was
for this one. Now the master of none. Still. Brush your teeth. You're right. Master of none. You knew what it was. I don't know why you're asking me again. I was
scared. Carlos Macias, Dalan Kirko from up in the mountains. Dalan is on task right now, so thank you for taking a moment to be off task for a moment, Dalan. Recording the episode. But we'll see you guys next week. Maybe Luis is back. Deo, I think, might still be in Japan, but we're looking forward to having those guys back in the near future.
Go to Mario Land. I just want to say it.
Even though we kind of talked a bit of crap on it, I think, but we did our best. We have to be true, Dalan. We have to speak the truth on these things, all right? Well, see you guys next week. Later.
See you on the next episode.